Hello friends, today we have a very challenging task ahead of us, 60 words in 60 minutes, right? In the next 1 hour, we'll try to learn as many as 60 words. I'm not saying all the 60 words would be new to you. You may already be knowing some, but let's see how many we cover. And the trick we are going to use to learn these 60 words is something called as etymology, wherein we take one root, because English, as you know, is derived mainly from Greek and Latin languages. So we'll take one root and try to figure out as many words as we can from one root, and then we'll move on to the next root. In the middle there will be digressions from one root into some other root completely, but we'll definitely come back. So the session is going to be a bit fast, so you'll need to listen, write and understand at the same time. Okay? And of course, if you have any problems, you can always rewind the session and see. So first of all, let's take up a root which is related to something which is very controversial today. Let's take up a root theos, which means God or religion. God or religion. Let's try to see how many words we can have with this root and with the broad idea generally. So the two most simplest words are theist and atheist. A theist and atheist. Okay, so theist is a person who believes in God and in the existence of God, and atheist is a person who does not believe in God. But not what many people know is, between the two there is another word called agnostic. Agnostic is a person who says it's not possible to prove whether God exists or not. So an agnostic is a person who's skeptical or doubtful about the existence of God. Remember, you cannot use the word agnostic in any other sense. It has to be in relation to skepticism about the existence of God. Remember, theist and atheist are very sure, and agnostic is not sure. The person is called agnostic and the practice is called agnosticism. 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 Okay, right. Then you have the word theocracy. Theocracy, right? Theocracy is when the state has a religion and the country is governed on the basis of the laws of a particular religion. The source of power is the religion and the religious texts. Okay, so whenever you say Islamic Republic, it's a theocracy. India is secular. Okay, so that is theocracy, which is the noun, and theocratic is the adjective. We'll try to look at various other parts of speech also, how that word changes form. Then after theocracy, you have the concept of monotheism. Monotheism. Mono का मतलब होता है single. So monotheism is the idea that there is only one God. सिर्फ एक ही ईश्वर है. ये जो विचारधारा है, this is called as monotheism, which again is a noun. The adjective would be monotheistic, right? For example, if you look at the Abrahamic religions, what are the Abrahamic religions? Try to find out. The Abrahamic religions are all monotheistic religions. I've used it as an adjective, so it is monotheistic. Opposed to monotheism, of course, is the concept of polytheism. Poly का मतलब होता है many. Poly का मतलब होता है many. So polytheism is the belief that there is more than one God, right? If you want a polytheistic religion, well, Hinduism is a polytheistic religion. बहुत सारे भगवान हैं. Okay, so theist, atheist, agnostic. There is another word related to this, that is gnosis. Gnosis is knowledge directly received from God. And Gnosis is the basis of every religion, right? The divine revelation, right? That is called Gnosis. Okay, so Gnosis, agnostic, agnosticism. Remember these words. Now you'll understand why this is agnostic. A person who doubts the Gnosis is agnostic. Does not say it is wrong. He doubts the Gnosis. That is agnostic. Okay, so then there are some more words which are associated with religion, though they don't have any form of theos in them. Okay, one such word is apostasy. Apostasy, A-P-O-S-T-A-C-Y. Apostasy. Apostasy is the act of giving up your religion, the act of renouncing your religion. That is apostasy, right? The person who does that is called an apostate. This is another form of the word. Remember, both are nouns. Apostasy indicates the idea or the thought, and apostate is the person who gives up his religion, right? And another word here is a word apostatize. Apostatize. This is the verb form. This is the verb form. Apostasy, apostate, apostatize. Apostatize is the act of giving up your religion. The act of giving up your religion. That is apostatize. Okay? If you want to watch a movie about apostatizing, watch this movie. 2016, Silence. Brilliant movie. So these are the words related to religion. One more, proselytize. We are discussing all controversial words. Proselytize. This is a verb. This is a verb. Proselytize is to forcibly convert a person from one religion to the other. To forcibly convert a person from one religion to other. That is proselytize, the verb, and the person who does that is known as a proselytizer. Right? So proselytizer becomes the noun. Proselytize is the verb, forcibly converting people from one faith to the other, and proselytizer is the person who does that. Okay, so we have taken 1, 2, I am not counting theist and atheist, 1, 2, Gnosis and agnostic, I am not counting agnosticism, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 words with theos, right? Now there is a word which carries a variant of theos but is actually not related to religion, and the word is apotheosis. Apotheosis, which means culmination of a sequence of events, or the climax as we call it. The apotheosis was reached when Othello took the dagger and turned it on himself. Apotheosis, the climax. Okay, so these are the words, 8 words relating to religion, right? So that now we have taken a look at religion. Let's take a look at the other word which is controversial. The root gamos, or in some variant gametos. Okay, these are the roots which mean marriage. Right? So again, you have quite a lot of words. Let's start with the simple ones. First of all, you have monogamy. Monogamy is having only one wife at a given point of time. Married, getting divorced, married again, divorced again, married again and divorced again is still monogamy. Remember, one wife at a given point of time. You must have heard this word, of course. So bigamy would mean having 2 wives at a given point of time. Okay, and then polygamy. Polygamy would mean a person who has more than 2 wives at a given point of time. Monogamy, bigamy and polygamy. Remember, you are talking about man and his wives. You are not talking about woman and her husbands. Right? If you are talking about a woman who has only one husband, the word for that is monandry. Monandry. Right? And a woman who has many husbands, the word for that is polyandry. If you read good literature, you'll come across these words. Polygamy was in the news last year when the Triple Talaq was outlawed, or when the Triple Talaq Act was passed in the parliament. Okay, so monogamy, bigamy, polygamy, polyandry, monandry. Right? More words with gametos. You have the word misogamist. Right? This part is taken from the root miso in Latin, which means hatred. Right? So a misogamist is a person who hates marriages. A person who hates marriages. Maybe, but how many of you, I hope you guys watch a serial called, we watched a series called 2.5 Men, or maybe a series called Friends. Misogamist का एकदम उल्टा would be philogamist. Philogamist. Right? This part comes from the Latin word philos. Greek word, philos, which means love. So philogamist typically would be something like Mr. Ross in Friends, who gets married once, twice, thrice in the season. Maybe, and at the end of the season 10 he is ready to marry again. So that is philogamist, a person who loves the idea of getting married. Okay, but hate and love के अलावा एक और इमोशन है मैरिज के बारे में, वो है डर. राइट? एंड द रूट फॉर fear in English is phobia. So you have another word here, and the word is gametophobia. Gametophobia, which is a fear of marriages. Okay, monogamy, bigamy, polygamy, misogamist, philogamist, gametophobia, monandry, polyandry. 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8. यहाँ हमारे 7 वर्ड हुए थे, यहाँ 8 हुए. We'll keep a count. So we have covered 15 words so far. 1/4 of our job is over. Okay, right. So as I was saying, philos is love, misos is hatred. Do you have any more words with this? Of course, we have some more words with this. You have philogynist, or a more popular variant of the word, gynophile, which means one who loves women. Right? And not in an offensive way, loves women. Philogynist or philogynist or gynophile. A person who hates women. No, we don't call him Donald Trump. The word is misogynist, because misos is hatred and the root gyno stands for women. Philogynist, misogynist. Okay, gyno stands for women, that's why you have gynecology. Right? A country which is governed by women, right, where women are the source of power, we'll call it gynocracy, because this comes from krastos, which is rule, or krasis as it is called in Greek, which means rule. So you have a philogynist, you have a misogynist. Okay, then Trump, by the way, has been called a misogynist also, and a serial monogamist also. Right? During election campaigns, it was thought that Trump was a misogynist, that he hated women. And then, of course, the news came that he was currently married, and this wife is his third wife. So how do you put that together? If he hates women so much, why did he get married thrice? But both are facts. So the only way you could reconcile it is his idea of punishing women is to get married to them. That's the only way the two facts can be correlated. Anyway, so philogynist and misogynist. Okay. Similarly, you have philanthrope right and misanthrope. Philanthrope and misanthrope. And this word anthrop comes from anthropos, 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 which means humankind. So philanthrope is a person who loves humankind. You know all these people who donate millions of dollars to charity and none reaches me. They are called philanthropists. Why? Because the reason they are donating so much money to charity is that they love mankind. They love mankind. Similarly, a misanthrope would be a person who hates mankind. Okay? तो 15 और ये 4 हमारे हो गए 19. ऊपर I am just keeping count to see how many words we actually end up covering in 60 minutes. Right? So, these are the 4 words. I hope the meanings are clear. Philogynist, misogynist, philanthrope, misanthrope. मैं इसके और 2 words बना सकता हूँ. Phylogeny is the concept, misogyny is the idea or the concept. These are people. Okay, so let's go to the next root now. We have derived this from here only. Okay, so let's go to the next root. Let's take anthropos as the next root. फास्ट लिखते जाइए क्योंकि मेरे को जगह चाहिए व्हाइट बोर्ड पे, मैं मिटाते रहूंगा. द नेक्स्ट रूट वी आर गोइंग टू टेक अप इज एंथ्रोपॉस. एंथ्रोपॉस व्हिच आई जस्ट सेड would refer to mankind, and let us see whether we have any more words left with anthropos. So I'll write down anthropos. Okay, which means humankind. Before I forget, ये जो है, this is the root for another word, philosophy. Philos is love. Sophia is the Greek goddess of wisdom. So philosophy is love for wisdom. Okay. वैसे ही sophist करके एक word है, but let's not go there, and I will not count this amongst the words we have covered because philosophy is a simple word, complicated subject. Anthropos. So we have already done philanthrope and misanthrope, right? Then you have another word, anthropocentric. Anthropocentric. Centered around mankind. Centered around mankind. Okay. Before the Renaissance movement in Europe, okay, the people used to think that the universe was geocentric, centered around the earth. So the thought was earth is the center of the solar system, right? And sun moves around the earth, geocentric. But later on, Copernicus and Galileo, after Copernicus and Galileo, we realized that sun was the center of the universe. That is, the universe was heliocentric. Heliocentric. We'll come to heliocentric. Just remember, heliocentric is centered around the sun. We came to the conclusion that the universe is heliocentric. But then we made a lot of progress, industrial revolution, blah, 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 mass manufacturing, blah, 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 assembly line manufacturing, blah, 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 space exploration. And we, in our arrogance, started thinking that the universe was anthropocentric. Everything centered around man. Man had the right to everything. And then came a year called 2020, which completely destroyed the notion that universe is anthropocentric. That's how you use the word in a sentence. So anthropocentric, geocentric and heliocentric. Okay. Then you have another word, anthropology. ये तो सुना ही होगा आपने. Study of evolution of humans. Anthropology, because this part is taken from the Greek word logia, which means study. Greek word logia, which means study. So anthropology. Then there is another word, anthropomorphism. Morph means form. Morph means form. So anthropomorphism would be giving something the form of a human. Giving something the form of a human. Humans are more comfortable with symbols that they can identify. So they anthropomorphized the forces of nature into gods and created statues out of them. That's how you'll use it in a sentence. I'll repeat. Humans need symbols. Therefore, humans anthropomorphized the elements of nature and created images of gods. That's how you will use anthropomorphism in a sentence. Anthropomorphism. Right? Then, of course, related to anthropology, you have another word, anthropomorphology. What would this mean? Study of the evaluation of the human form. Human form कैसे evolve हुआ from our predecessors, from our simian origins. This is called anthropomorphology. Right? Anthropology is evolution of humans and this is evolution of the bodily structure of humans. That is anthropomorphology. Okay. Now, I said we will discuss heliocentric later. Now, why did I say that? Let us understand. Okay, I will. By mistake मैंने मिटा दिया कितने words हुए थे, लेकिन मेरे को याद है हमने 19 words किए थे before I started with anthropos. So we'll take a tally once the board is full. Helios, right, is the Greek sun god. Right? इसीलिए centered around the sun becomes heliocentric. तो दो रूट है इसमें, एक तो सेंट्रिक एंड हीलियो. सो इट बिकम्स heliocentric, centered around the sun. Then you also have another word, heliolatry. Latria comes from the word, latry comes from the word latria, which means worship. So heliolatry is worship of the sun, right? Because Helios is the sun god. So heliolatry would be worship of the sun, latria is worship. Similarly, you have this concept of idolatry practiced in Hinduism. The idea of worshipping to a statue or an idol, that is idolatry. इसको उर्दू में बुत परस्ती कहा जाता है. इफ यू आर इंटरेस्टेड. नॉट इंटरेस्टेड, लीव इट. heliolatry, idolatry. Okay, then a few very interesting points. Suppose this is the sun, right, and the sun and the earth is circling the sun in an elliptical orbit. ऐसा नहीं होता तो गड़बड़ हो जाएगी पूरा. वन कंटिन्यूस एलिप्टिकल ऑर्बिट के बाहर गया, गड़बड़ हो जाएगी. नाउ एट वन पॉइंट ऑफ टाइम द डिस्टेंस बिटवीन द सन एंड द अर्थ विल बी मिनिमम. द डिस्टेंस बिटवीन द सन एंड द अर्थ विल बी minimum. So at this point the earth will be closest to the sun. Similarly, at one point the distance will be maximum. right? So this point is called the perihelion. The perihelion. And this point is called the aphelion. Again, two words related to the sun. Perihelion, the point at which the planet is closest to the sun in the orbit, and aphelion, the point at which the planet is farthest to the sun. Peri and aphi. Okay, similarly, suppose this is the earth. ये समझिए आपको perihelion and aphelion. Suppose this is the earth and this is the moon, orbit of the moon. So the point where the moon is closest to the earth, this is called perigee. Perigee. And the point where the moon is farthest from earth, this is called apogee. Okay, apogee also means the highest point, the summit or the climax, because from Earth's perspective, this is the highest point in the orbit of the moon for a person standing on the earth. इसलिए apogee का एक और meaning होता है the peak or the pinnacle or the summit, right? So you have heliolatry, idolatry, perihelion, perigee, aphelion, apogee. Okay, वैसे ही एक और word है heliotrope. Heliotrope. Heliotrope is the typical reddish, goldenish, brownish color of the sun when the sun is setting. That typical वो एक हिंदी पिक्चरों में नहीं दिखाते हैं. So that is called heliotrope. It's a typical color of the sun. Okay. So these are the words related to helio. Let's take another route here. मैंने बोला था morph का मतलब होता है form. Okay. So let's take the root morph, the next, and see whether we can derive any words from morph. So first of all, you had anthropomorphism, that is there. Okay. Morphology, study of forms, उसमें नहीं जाएंगे हम डिटेल में, बहुत simple word है. Okay. You have a word amorphous. ये आपको केमिस्ट्री में याद होगा. You had amorphous and you had crystalline. What are amorphous substances? Substances that don't have a form themselves. जिनका अपना खुद का आकार नहीं होता है. They exist only in a powdered form. That is amorphous, right? As opposed to crystalline substances. Crystalline. Substances or elements which exist only in a particular form. They are crystalline. So amorphous and crystalline. Are we clear? Then we also have another word with morph, that is metamorphosis. Remember इसमें two words हैं. SIS आखिरी में would indicate that it's a singular and SES would indicate that it's a plural. So metamorphosis का मतलब actual etymological meaning is a change in form. आकार में बदलाव. That is called metamorphosis. For example, a caterpillar becoming a butterfly is called a metamorphosis. Okay. But today you use the word metamorphosis whenever there is a fundamental change. A fundamental change. That is when you use the word metamorphosis today. Okay. So anthropos 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 9 10 11 12 13 14 15 16 19 plus 16 35 words we have covered so far. Okay, so let's take another route now. We are almost halfway through the session. So we have completed 35 words in 30 minutes. Let's take a look at a few more. ये पूरा चार्ट क्लियर है आपको? तो मैं एक नए सिरे से एक नए रूट के साथ शुरू करता हूं. लेट मी इरेज दिस व्हाइट बोर्ड कंप्लीटली फर्स्ट. सो नाउ द टारगेट ऑफ 60 वर्ड्स इन 60 मिनट्स लुक्स क्वाइट अचीवेबल. नो, वी आर अहेड ऑफ द टारगेट राइट नाउ. दैट्स अ नाइस फीलिंग. वेरी रेयरली इन माय लाइफ वाज आई एवर अहेड. राइट. सो लेट्स सी. Let's take a fresh word. Okay, let's take up a word, bellum. B-E-L-L-U-M, bellum, bellum, which means war. Okay, so whenever you have the word bellum or some variant of bellum in a word, it means something is being talked about a war. You are discussing something about a war. So let us see a few words. First, antebellum. Antebellum. Ante का मतलब होता है prior to or before. Ante का मतलब होता है prior to or before. So antebellum would mean before the war or prior to the war. Similarly, you have not similarly, quite on contrary to that, you have postbellum. Right? Post का मतलब होता है after. So postbellum would mean after the war. Okay. Antebellum generally refers to the period before World War I because it was considered to be a very dramatic war which changed the political equations, and later on World War II, etc. So there is an interesting theory, when was World War I called World War I? Of course it was not called World War I at its inception because that would be a very dark world view. अच्छा वर्ल्ड वॉर हुआ, इसको हम वर्ल्ड वॉर 1 बोलते हैं, वर्ल्ड वॉर 2 भी तो होना ही है, ऐसा तो पहले नहीं सोचेंगे ना. सो थिंक अबाउट दैट, व्हेन वाज द फर्स्ट वर्ल्ड वॉर एक्चुअली कॉल्ड द फर्स्ट वर्ल्ड वॉर फॉर द फर्स्ट टाइम. सो एंटेबेलम प्रायर टू द वॉर एंड पोस्टबेलम आफ्टर द वॉर. देन यू हैव टू वर्ड्स व्हिच आर यूज्ड विथ लॉट ऑफ फ्रीक्वेंसी नाउअडेज. बेलिकोस, which means angry and aggressive. Bellicose का मतलब होता है angry and aggressive. And belligerent, which means inviting war, warmongering. तो ये दोनों में जो relationship है, it's called the degree of intensity relationship, with the second word being much more intense than the first. Bellicose would simply mean aggressive, but belligerent would mean more warmongering. Okay, bellicose का एक और फॉर्म है bellicosity. Bellicosity. This is the noun. This is the adjective. Bellicose statements made by the Chinese politicians and their military leaders have caused a standoff again in the region of Ladakh. Okay. In spite of the belligerent attitude of the Pakistani army, the Indian army has managed to exercise restraint. Belligerent. तो ये होता है adjective और इसका noun form is belligerence. The noun form is belligerence. Bellicose, bellicosity, belligerent, belligerence. ठीक है? Then you have your normal words. Rebellion. What's a rebellion? The starting RE is taken from the first two letters of the word regus, which means rule or king, depending on how you use it. Okay, so rebellion is a war against the existing king. A war against the existing king. That would be a rebellion. So you have rebellion, rebel, he has a very rebellious nature and whatnot. Then you have another word, bellipotent. Bellipotent. Potent refers to power. When you take medicines, for example, God forbid, talking about medicines, it's a wrong time to be talking about medicines. But when you take medicines, medicines have a certain potency, 150 mg, 300 mg, 350 mg and so on. So potency is power. Bellipotent would mean a very powerful warrior. A very powerful warrior, like say Achilles in the Iliad. So that is bellipotent, a powerful warrior. That is bellipotent. Similarly, after the end of World War I, everybody was asking the same question. What was the casus belli? What was the casus belli? The reason for the war. Why did we fight? Just because somebody killed a prince in Serbia, does that mean even Arabia should be plunged into war? We don't know. So what was the casus belli? What was the reason for the war? Okay, so these are words related to bellum, casus belli. Okay, now we had taken a root ante, which means prior to. So let us see whether we can find any more words which have the same root. One word I am reminded of instantly is antediluvian. Antediluvian. Right? The second part of the word is taken from an incident in the Bible. All of you would have heard the story of Noah's Ark. You know, God created world, the First Testament, and he was very angry at how people turned out. So he decided to kill everyone, and he contacted Noah, appeared to Noah in a dream, their version of maybe a Zoom call. God appeared to Noah in a dream, asked him to build ark. You know that story? It rained continuously for 40 days and 40 nights, creating a great flood. That biblical flood is called the diluvium. The diluvium. So anything that happened even before that, even prior to that, that is antediluvian, right? हिंदी में इसके लिए एक बहुत अच्छा ये है फ्रेज, बाबा आदम के जमाने का, मतलब उससे और पुराना कुछ नहीं हो सकता. That is called antediluvian. Okay, there are less offensive words, of course. You really call something antediluvian अगर कोई इतना पुराना है. Many words in English which carry roughly the same meaning. Synonyms का concept है English में. Okay, which words which convey the same sense. So for antediluvian, some more words which convey the same sense can be antiquated, obsolete, right? An interesting word, anachronistic. Anachronistic. Anachronistic, उसमें ये जो है, this part is taken from the word chronos, which is Latin for time. So when you say something is anachronistic, you are saying it does not belong to the current time, but it is still happening. In a society as liberal and modern as India, the existence of untouchability seems like an anachronism. Or in India nowadays, we have, as a society, we might have become liberal, but our TV shows are still anachronistic in their themes. That's how you will use it in a sentence. So when you say something is anachronistic, you are saying it's a relic of the past, it should not happen, but is happening. That is anachronistic, right? Then obsolete you use with a piece of machinery or technology, right? Then you have another word which conveys the same idea as obsolete, but the usage is different, which is archaic. Archaic. The language in which Shakespeare wrote, we today call it archaic English, right? And the WhatsApp generation will call Happy Birthday archaic. The WhatsApp generation will call Happy Birthday archaic because they just will say HBD and expect you to understand. Now my problem with this is twofold. When you say HBD instead of Happy Birthday, I have two problems with that. Why are you saying D? Birthday is a single word, no? So say HB only. What's the problem? Why are you introducing D and wasting your time? Second, instead of saying happy birthday, typing happy birthday on your keypad with all that dictionary support and whatnot, Okay, instead of typing happy birthday, you typed HBD and sent it to someone. Good. Can you please tell me what did you do with the time that you have saved? Learned 2 more words? No? So this is just rude and impolite. Please don't do this. One day somebody had texted me. Right? I thought some Chinese guy had gone into an intensive care unit. What do I have to do? I have to do with it. Because at my age, ICU can mean only one thing. The intensive care unit of a hospital. Apparently this is when can I see you? How am I supposed to understand that? I was not taught this in school. So please refrain from using such language if you really want to improve your English. That is disrespecting English. Anyway, so that's why I'm saying the WhatsApp generation will call the English that we use as archaic. Today, dust thou art and to dust thou return. This is classic example of archaic English. Okay? But archaic you do not use with technology, remember. Technology you'll use obsolete. Language, literature, art, you'll say archaic. Okay? Then you have something, a word for something which has just gone out of trend. Okay? That is passé. Passé is something which has just gone out of fashion. Antediluvian is something we, oh ho, Baba Adam ke zamane ka. Okay, passé is something which has just gone out of fashion. Just gone out of fashion. Right? So antediluvian ka jo broad idea hai, these are some other words which convey the same concept. Antediluvian. Okay. Then you take up post. इसके साथ एक टर्म है जो मैं आपके साथ शेयर करना चाहूंगा, विच इज एक्स पोस्ट फैक्टो. एक्स पोस्ट फैक्टो. एक्स पोस्ट फैक्टो का मतलब है आफ्टर द डीड इज डन. सब कुछ खत्म होने के बाद. दैट इज एक्स पोस्ट फैक्टो. टुडे वी सिट इन आवर ड्राइंग रूम्स and we think whether what the leaders did in 1947 was correct or not. Let me tell you friends, ex post facto intelligence is the easiest thing to exercise in this world. That's how you use the term ex post facto in a sentence. Facto refers to a fact or an event, post is after. So ex post facto. Okay. Here I see I have underlined the word Cronus. Right? Let's take some words with Cronus now as a root, right? Synchronous. Synchronous. Syn, same or similar. Chronos, time. Happening at the same time. Synchronous. Happening at the same time. Synchronous. The rise of the right wing in the world in electoral politics is synchronous to the rise of the other variant of terrorism. Both are happening at the same time. Synchronous. If they are not happening at the same time, you will say they are asynchronous. Easy, simple, nothing there. That is synchronous. A device used for measuring time is a chronometer. Whenever any word ends with meter in English, remember something is being measured. That's the idea. But you won't call this watch a chronometer. Maybe the device they use to measure times in Formula 1 racing, where they are able to measure precisely up to 1,000th of a second, that would be using a chronometer. A device which measures samay, that is chronometer. Okay. Then you have a word chronicle, again derived from the same root. Chronicle the events, if I use it as a verb. Chronicle the events. It means to keep a record of all the events that are happening during a particular time. And that's what a document called chronicle also means, to keep a record of all events that have happened during a time. When you prepare your resume, you are supposed to write your achievements in reverse chronology. In reverse chronology. In reverse chronology. Latest to earliest. That is reverse chronology. Okay. So these are the words related to Chronos, anachronistic, asynchronous, chronometer, chronicle and chronology. So let us see how many words we have added to 35. 36, 37, 38, 39, I'll ignore this, 40, 41, 42, 43, 44, 45, 46, 47, my God, 48, 49, 50, 51, 52. 8 words to go. We are up to 52 words now. Okay, चलो आसपास 50 कर लो, 2 काट देता हूं मैं. Obsolete क्या word क्या आपको पहले से मालूम था. So we have covered 50 words now. Okay, 10 more words are remaining. Now we can relax. This is the speed with which you need to learn vocabulary also. जनरली द मिसकंसेप्शन इज आप धीरे धीरे पढ़ोगे, याद करोगे, रटोगे, ऐसा कुछ नहीं होता है. आप इंटेंस करो प्रिपरेशन, अपने आप को प्रेशराइज करो, ऑटोमेटिकली सब याद रहेगा. आप जितना ढीला ढीला पढ़ेंगे ना, वो वर्ड्स भी वैसे ढीले ढीले रहेंगे. एनीवे, सो लेट्स टेक अप वन मोर रूट हियर एंड सी वेयर दैट लीड्स अस. ओके, एंड द रूट वी आर टॉकिंग अबाउट, थोड़ा सा लीगल लैंग्वेज आ जाएगा इसमें, इज कल्पा. Kalpa, which means blame or fault. Blame or fault. First, let's take a very simple word, culpable homicide. अब ये homicide लिखूंगा तो इससे और खतरनाक वर्ड्स आएंगे, बट उधर हम नहीं जाएंगे आज. ओके, homicide is a person dies. Culpable homicide is, I mean, suppose you are driving your car on the street, you hit a person and the person dies. It's definitely homicide because a human has been killed by your act. When will it become culpable homicide? When it can be proved that you were driving the vehicle with the intention of killing that person, a mind that can be blamed. Then it will be called culpable homicide, right? And a mind that can be blamed, the word for that is mens rea, legal term, mens rea. There is no mens rea. It means there is no culpable mind. There is no mind that can be blamed. That is mens rea. And the physical act in legal terms is known as the actus reus. The physical act is known as actus reus. So that is culpable. Similarly, you have inculpate, which means to put the blame on someone, and exculpate, which means to remove the blame from someone. Inculpate and exculpate. Inculpate, put the blame on someone. Exculpate, to remove the blame from someone. Okay, but if a person has gone through a complete judicial process, exculpate is used more informally, right? If a person has gone through a complete judicial process and after that he has been declared not guilty, a better word to use than exculpate would be exonerate. When he has been declared not guilty by the courts, that means the courts have exonerated him. In that sense, you'll never say the courts have exculpated him. तो याद रखिएगा, exculpate is used in a more informal kind of a sense. Exonerate is used in a typical formal and legal sense. Okay. Then you also have the word mea culpa, something which we have forgotten to say. My fault. Because saying something is my fault, it requires a lot of humility. Mea culpa. I am at fault. It's my mistake. Rather than saying that, today we end up saying qui culpa. Whose fault is it? Qui culpa. Whose fault is it? Me culpa. My fault. Okay. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We are tantalizingly close to 60 now. I'll ignore these two. You take these two, we have jumped up to 57, right? But we'll take only these 5. That means we have covered 55 words so far. So now, let's look at another root which we had, CIDE. A lot of words in English ending with CIDE, right? And any word ending with CIDE would mean basically someone has been killed. CIDE, not CID. That's a different story altogether. So let's see. So there are many words depending on whom you kill. You have father. We'll complete the list. We may go beyond 60 also. Father, mother, sister, brother. 4 most important relations. So this is called patricide. The word for this is matricide. Which legendary Indian mythological hero committed matricide? Find that out. I'll tell you the answer at the end. Sister is sororicide. And killing your brother is fratricide. Do you remember the word for going for a war or initiating a war against your current king? It started with what? RE, right? Which denotes king. So you have regicide, which means killing your king. If you want to read something very interesting, read the regicide in Nepal in 2001. Prince Dipendra, he killed his entire family. So killing your king is called regicide. Killing your king is called regicide. Okay, so there are many more words. Killing your king is called regicide because this part is taken from the word, as I said, regus, which means king. I remember this because as a kid, I remember asking my father the meaning of one term, ultima ratio regum. For people who are interested in literature, try to find out what this means. Ultima ratio regum. The last argument of the king. Ultima is the last. Ratio is rational. Regum is king. So ultima ratio regum. The last argument of the king. People who are interested in literature, try to find out what that means. When you kill many people of one particular ethnicity or gene, we call it genocide. Okay, when we kill a bee, makhi, अच्छा मैं 2 important relation तो भूल ही गया, wife and husband, right? Remember, we are taking this strictly from a vocabulary perspective. Killing your wife is called uxoricide. And killing your husband, my memory is not as strong as it was. Senile dementia creeps in at some point of time. It should be meretricide, but I'll be very glad if you could please check this on. See whether this is right or wrong, and please inform us either in a comment section or something. Killing your husband, meretricide. Similarly, as I said, Hitler is the person who is associated with this word, genocide. We'll talk about Hitler some other time maybe, right? Then, killing a bee, makhi, is called epicide. Bees live in an apiary. You must have heard that. Bees live in an apiary. So killing a bee is called epicide. Killing a bird is called avicide. And when you get tired of it all and decide to turn the gun on yourself, it's called suicide. Killing yourself, because this comes from the Latin word for self, that is sui, self. For example, the Supreme Court has decided to take suo motu cognizance, that means on its own without having an official complaint. Some things the universe Is it sui generis or has it been created by God? Sui generis, generated out of itself. Okay, so I think we have covered more than 60 words here. मैं अज्यूम कर रहा हूँ कि ये सारे वर्ड में से सिर्फ 5 वर्ड्स थे जो आपको मालूम नहीं था, बाकी सब आपको मालूम था. तो 55 plus 5 makes it 60 words in 60 minutes, right? Keep revising the meanings of these words, right? And keep reading as much as you can of good articles, good things. Try to watch as many English movies as you can in English. English movies in English where people sit and talk, and not movies where a blonde haired guy comes from some other planet carrying a hammer in his hand. Okay, these would be the tricks to improve vocabulary. I hope you have enjoyed this session as much as I have enjoyed myself talking continuously for the past 1 hour. Thank you very much. All the best and take care.